Yes, Spurs fans, welcome back to the Irish Hotspur. This is going to be your Twitter reacts. Do let us know any of the tweets that you agree with, disagree with, and just your general thoughts on the game. Dave and I gave our post-match reaction, which you should check out to hear our long and extended thoughts on just how this all went down. I think for us, it feels like one of the worst performances of the season, if not the worst. But some people do feel differently, and so we'll take a look at what other Spurs fans have to say. Do smash the like button for us while you're in here. We're going to take a look at two takes from Johnny H here, just because, to be honest, I thought he showed maybe too much praise for the Wolves performance, and I wonder if he's maybe showing a little bit too much praise for this one as well. He said, to the Spurs fans already complaining about Thomas Frank, he wrote this yesterday before this game against Bodo Glimt. He said, fourth in the table, second best defense, third best for goals, 6 clean sheets, won our first Champions League game, threw in the cup, 9 players, including Matters and Kulu out, no left winger. He's a top coach that's been in the job 3 months and has got a jigsaw with big important pieces missing, and he has to try and make do at the same time, convince fans everything is okay. Fake it until you make it, I guess he's saying. The fact is, we are getting results. Isn't that good? Hell no, but I'd rather be getting points and playing poorly whilst we improved than the opposite scenario of supposedly playing great football and losing 22 games. Um, he then said after this one, well, that was easily one of our worst performances of the season so far. Was it a combination of Frank's team selection, the players' individual performances, and the pitch? Probably. Whatever happened tonight, it could have been so much worse. And with them missing a penalty and blasting over right in front of a goal, Bodo were superb tonight. Hauga scored 2 terrific goals, and their second was so badly defended by us, especially Vicario, Spence, and Pedro Porro. There was nobody out there on the pitch tonight that can get away with without severe criticism. Maybe Archie Gray would be excluded. Bodo will continue to cause havoc to teams at home. I guess the only positive, we showed resilience to fight our way back into the game. They've only lost one of their last 17 games. I think he's referring to Bodo Glimt. And he's saying when all said and done, somehow we got an extremely valuable and undeserved draw and Champions League point. We are fourth in the Premier League, in the Champions League just now. We move on.
Yeah.
Come on, you Spurs.
Look, I think that second tweet is a bit more reasonable in terms of the breakdown. Interestingly, he doesn't mention Thomas Frank's approach, which he said he did purposely in the first half, tried to play counter-attacking football against Bodo Glimt. I sort of also struggle, that the first tweet, he put out a load of tweets there in defence of Thomas Frank. Last year, he would have flipped them and had all the reasons to sack the manager because performances like Wolves, like the weekend and stuff, weren't good enough. The no left winger. Well, his narrative last year under Ange Postecoglou was, well, it doesn't matter. It's up to him to get more out of these
Or the
players,
players
etc.,
injured, right?
etc.
9 players injured,
Yeah,
and that was not an
exactly.
excuse before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He's the manager. It's up to him to make it work and stuff like that. Look, I'm not saying, get Frank out of the job. I'm nowhere near at that point yet. I want to give this guy. I do think in the long run, Thomas Frank is the right guy. But what I'm not having is people that found stuff unacceptable last year all of a sudden trying to say it's acceptable this year. I don't buy into it. If it's
Yeah.
unacceptable, it's unacceptable regardless of who the manager is. At the end of the day, you've got standards at the football club. No wonder why we don't go and win anything when people are changing their standards because they prefer one manager over another. At the end of the day, forget about the manager. It's about Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And tonight and against Wolves, Thomas Frank has fallen below expectations and what's acceptable at Tottenham Hotspur in terms of his team selection, his tactics, and his use of the bench as well. So it's okay to criticise the guy. At the end of the day, how do you expect to fix problems if there's no criticism and we pretend everything's rosy in the rose garden? But
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Things that weren't acceptable last year all of a sudden is acceptable this year because people prefer one guy over another. We're all adults here. Forget about the manager. It's about what's acceptable at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah. Craig saying we've drawn against bottom of the league Wolves at home and drawn against Bodo, both needing desperate equalizers in the last and final knockings. I think Frank will be good, but he is fast learning the players he can
Yeah.
and can't rely on. We've got a handful of worthy players wearing the shirt. I
Yeah.
thought that's very reasonable, actually, from Craig there. THFC department saying, saw this team dominate PSG for 80 minutes, then never saw it again. Unbeaten in the Champions League.
Honestly, I did.
Uh,
It's
Bit of half
serious.
slap in here. I actually enjoyed it. You were asking for funny, Dave. This is probably what little I
I,
could find.
I would think it's funny if he didn't actually mean it, but I think he's delighted with it. That's my problem.
Maybe it's hard to tell here. This was funny though. 29% possession versus Bodo Glimt.
You're under surveillance.
Honestly, though, on that, I don't think people should be surprised. If anyone actually went and done proper digging into Frank like I did last season, I highlighted that his team at Brentford had one of the lowest possession percentage stats in the league. I'm not surprised it's turning out this way.
Yeah, and he's a guy that even though a lot of people praised him, coming into the job and wanted him even when we still had Ange Postecoglou, I did sort of say to Soren off air, I was like, I just feel like a lot of people maybe didn't watch much of Brentford. Like they were a team that was defensively solid, really compact, but they weren't really a team that was ever that pleasing on the eye, to be perfectly honest. They were just exceptionally effective at what they did on the break and from set pieces and just being a hard team to beat. But
Mm,
they were never a team that I would have been like excited to be watching on a
no.
regular basis, to be honest. But I'm happy with it. I'm a more defensive minded person, but
Mm,
just this is coming from someone who normally praises that kind of football. But I was surprised, I was like, am I watching a different Brentford than than other people?
mm.
Spurs Army Bodo, as they did in May, are dousing the artificial pitch with water ahead of the warm-ups. Dave pointed this out.
It just makes it more difficult. The bounce of the ball, it means it's going to skid off the surface. So if we're going to play a long ball, which I think they thought we were going to try and do, and it turned out we do, it's difficult to get hold of. And also, I sort of argued before the game, they're also warning it because they're going to come at us and play this passing
Hmm.
game. And it
Hmm.
means their passes will zip along the turf quicker. And
Yeah.
it exactly turned out that way, didn't it?
Dave Ellis, 150 million pounds, front three that would have took out, that would not even look out of place
Yeah.
in the championship.
Yeah.
Richarlison completely useless. Brennan Johnson anonymous as per usual, and then Wilson Odebear, probably one of his worst performances, if you ask me. Actually, in a Spurs shirt, I think I've seen better from him in previous games, and this one I felt like he was honestly one of his worst ones. So pick your poison, really.
I've
With
never.
Richarlison right now, I'm really getting frustrated because I just feel like he is offering nothing at the minute, and normally he does offer something, whether it's work rate, hard work off the ball, challenging for headers, aerial duels. Like he normally is good in one of those departments, but like right now he's just offering nothing for me.
Look, every single one of them before. I've never seen 3-4 players pass the ball backwards as much in my life.
Yeah. Invert the wing. Unfortunately, this is not the Thomas Frank I recognize. This is exactly the style of football I have criticized Mikel Arteta for in the
Yeah.
past year. I think this is a version of what you saw actually of Thomas Frank. I think people maybe had a different picture in their heads. THFC, CRT, leave Johnson in Norway, dog shit
That's
player.
more like
Stefan, if I don't see Xavi in the 10 Saturday, I'm going to lose my marbles. I just had to want a quick rant on this. I feel like people that are just, saying, oh, well, the reason we're playing terrible, or the reason Xavi's playing terrible is because he's playing on the left. Like him having a terrible first touch and not being able to get the ball under control or be able to complete a simple pass has nothing to do with him playing on the left or through the middle. That was the case against Wolves. The guy played on the left and he was honestly awful out there. That has nothing to do with the fact that he's playing in an area that maybe he wouldn't prefer to or that you would prefer to as a fan. Like, I just find that crazy. Like, the guy couldn't even get his first touch under control. How is that going to change if he moves into the middle? And then he still was given the opportunity for 10 or 15 minutes in the middle against Wolves. And then in this
and
game, he was
Doncaster.
brought in through the midfield and he wasn't really, he was better than what we had, but it wasn't like something I would rave about either. So I think I'm not even on like the Xavi Simmons, like, oh, he needs to step up campaign. I'm just saying, like, I just think there's far too much protectionism over certain players at times. Like it's just
Has
like why is it somehow Thomas Frank's fault that the guy can't get a simple ball under control?
It's not. It's absolutely madness. At the end of the day, people act like he's never played left wing in his life. Go back and look at his Leipzig game. He played just as many games off the left as he did through the middle, if not more games off the left hand side. And to your point, he came on in number 10 tonight. What did he do?
Yeah, I
He
think
hugged the
he's
left hand. He hugged the left hand side with Wilson Odegaard. That's what he done. What did he do against Doncaster when we moved him into the number 10?
yeah.
Fuck all. What did he do against Wolves when we moved him off the left into the number 10? He didn't start playing any better. And to be honest with you, I think one thing that nobody's navigating in this, or nobody's brought up, Xavi's too weak at Premier League level, at this level, to play in the number 10 for Tottenham Hotspur. You seen it there tonight. How many times did he get out muscled to give away the ball and they counted on us? And I think Thomas Frank is also recognising that. But tonight he came on. He may as well have played left wing with Wilson Odegaard tonight. He prefers drifting out to the left. So if he wants to move out there, then play him out there.
Tottenham Hotspur, Archie Gray, pointing out
Yeah.
that this is their official account, make an impact. I thought that was actually a very good cameo from Archie Gray. making unselfish runs, when we were in possession, making runs beyond the back line, stretching the back line. Thought in possession, he didn't really put much of a foot wrong. So actually a very good cameo from Archie
Which
Gray. And
also
he played well against Doncaster Rovers.
he did, which also shows it's even more unacceptable for what some of them senior players put in tonight. If this kid is coming off the bench and changing the game for us.
And as like a number 8, right? So that's something maybe to point out. Maybe we all thought he would be more of a number 6, but playing as more of this box to box role, he seems to be doing a little bit better
Yeah,
at. Being a Tottenham fan
yeah,
for
that's great
Tottenham
to see,
Hotspur.
man, anyway.
Talk to HFC. This football is glorified Conte ball with 10 times better players as well. Just
Mhm.
thought let you guys, sort of dwell on that one. Ron saying Frank subbed off Bergvall before Bentancur. I don't think
That's a
Bergvall had
reasonable
an
decision.
exceptional game. He had that one moment with Richarlison, which should have been a goal and it should have been an assist for Bergvall. So credit to the kid. I thought he kind of drifted out of the game, if you ask me, really. I thought he kind of drifted away. I thought he was kind of losing his influence on it. And I think Bentancur started off very, very poorly, but maybe grew in influence in the game. So I just think neither were really much better than the
The
other, if you
difference
ask
is
me.
Bentancur was getting on the ball. Bergvall wasn't. By that one little thing he had in the opening minute or two, what else did he do in terms of when he got on the ball or anything? He couldn't.
Yeah.
So I think it was the right decision.
I think we all know Bergvall's fan club is far bigger than Bentancur's as
Yeah.
well. Which was worse, Bournemouth Wolves or today, Dave?
I'm not even gonna pick. It's like arguing between Brennan Johnson, Udabar, and Matisse Towell.
Zeus saying we had no right drawing that game. Completely
Yeah.
agree. Ron saying we used to have Kane and
Yeah.
Son. Just want to torture Dave a little bit
Makes
more
me
there.
cry every night.
Simon Yemaine, bad performance again. Got away with it today and Saturday, but won't forever. Frank needs to sort the on the ball stuff sooner rather than later. Build up, central areas, and final third are all issues right now. We can't just rely on crosses and dead ball situations. But for now, we move. I actually thought not a bad summary from Simon
No, I
there.
think he's absolutely spot on. I think it's something that we've tried to sort of express, maybe just not as elegant.
Well, it's nice when you get to type it out.
We do.
Your front three can't consist of Odebear, Richarlison, and Johnson. No threat there whatsoever. I guess he just had to give it a go at some point, but now it's clearly just not something that he can really experiment with in games like this.
I'd argue he should have already had his
Yeah.
warning signs from the minutes they've took. But yeah, I think if he doesn't learn from this, then I question him.
Michael Hamilton in the Champions League, especially away from home, you should always field your strongest 11.
Yep. You always go and get the job done. You ensure you give yourself the best possible chance to take 3 points, and then you take your best players off. At the end of the day, right? Fans are moaning for rotation, clapping their hands. It's brilliant. Well done, Frank. You're rotating. We still had
And
to
then we're
bring the
left
players
angry
on.
after the game.
Yeah, they were left angry after the game, but you still had to bring on Kudos, Simmons, and Paulinia to go and try and get something out of this game. So in effect, it didn't work. It backfired. The rotation did not work today. What's the difference from bringing them off the bench or starting them, looking to give yourself the best possible chance to win the game, and then taking them off? There's no difference. That's the way you should have done it tonight. And this is what I'm talking about. I think Thomas Frank's inexperience in Europe come back to bite us today.
One of
He
the
un-
big,
he underestimated Bodo Glimt tonight.
yeah. Thomas Frank's biggest appeals is that he's not stuck in his ways and will adapt to situations. Well, I think it's time for one of those for that to start happening, says
Yeah,
Jacob.
spot on.
Seriously, I thought that was actually kind of funny. And I like Thomas Frank, but I think some of these are actually kind of correct and accurate and pretty funny. Johnny Blaine saying, dreadful. Richarlison ends the match with 10 touches, one of which was a kickoff. Own goal is our top scorer with 4. Yeah, own goals. Paulinho, Pop Matasar. If only we could have more of them.
Van de Ven.
Van de Ven, right, Dave? Hugo, I'm starting to get really concerned about this project. Well, I don't know if that's maybe one of the talking points for maybe the title of this stream.
Yeah.
60 million on Richarlison, 50 million on Johnson, 25 million on Odebear, 30 million on Tell, and 60 million on Solanke. I don't trust any of them. I was joking to Dave. I was like, technically, Solanke hasn't really even touched the pitch, this season, apart from the Burnley game, I think, as a second half sub, and then the or might have been Man City, and then the Super Cup. So Solanke, I think he's got a lot to prove this year, but I understand the point. I understand the point.
I understand the point. I think it's harsh to throw Solanke in this year, although he does have a point to prove. But I think what's most concerning for me is that's over 200 million worth of money that we've spent.
Seriously.
they're all players that many fans wouldn't mind cashing in on and reinvesting that money. But are you even going to get what you paid for them? No. So it's sort of like, look at the amount of money we've messed
Yeah.
around with. We let Harry Kane and Son go for this.
Yeah. Dave, close your eyes. This was the Richarlison chance.
Oh my God, it gets worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, just look at
It's just like, how's this guy ever going to score?
how's he overrunning it? Like, that's just the part. Like, it's just like maybe maybe he is a little shocked that the defender doesn't get a clearance onto it, but
It's your
like,
job as a striker to anticipate that.
yeah, like that's the part. Like, how is he overrunning it? Like, the guy actually, to be fair, the guy couldn't track a ball at all tonight. Like, it felt like he was just a step behind or just didn't know where the ball was for the majority of the game. Even some of the headers he was challenging for was never even close to any of them. Maybe
Yeah.
Richarlison just needs glasses. I just thought this was funny though, because this was in reply to Apollo's tweet. Did this count as a shot on target asking for a bet builder? Billy saying, I miss James Madison so much. Probably would have been a nice help, or Kulusevski. Spurs Web just pointing out, this offside, marker. They took 2.5 minutes, right, to make this decision over that offside. It was insane. I don't know why it took them that long. Spurs Web, Glenn Hoddle on the 2-2 draw. Tonight, Tottenham came second best in a lot of areas on the pitch. But at the end of the day, when you play like that, it's a great point to pick up away from home. That shows you the strength of Tottenham now. They can play resiliently and still pick up a point. I think you thought this was a little too much praise.
Yeah, but I also think, people only included half of the quote to represent. They didn't say that Glenn Hoddle also sort of alluded to that we didn't play well and stuff like that. They sort of just put it in that Glenn Hoddle said it's great, resilient, and it's a good point away from home, when it doesn't actually entirely reflect that. It's not an accurate reflection. He sort of alludes to that we're playing bad, and I suppose if you find yourself 2-0 down, you'll take the draw, and it shows resilience. But what I don't buy is, it's a great result. We bet them 2-0 there last year under a guy that no one rated with a team that no one rated. It's not a good result.
Yeah. There it is, though. Everybody, really appreciate you guys. Let us know if you disagreed or agreed with what we had to say in this Twitter Reacts. Let us know. Again, hard one to find funny ones for, but I try my very best as per usual. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you all next time. Smash the like button on your way out and get ready for the weekend with Leeds before an international break. See you next time, everyone.